Good afternoon and welcome to the Go Guild. Lots of announcements and news this month, so we'll get right into it. Excuse me. There we go. Go 124.2 is released. Not too many features, just security fixes to net HTTP, bug fixes to the compiler, and we've got bug fixes to runtime and the Go command. According to Toby and JetBrains, Go is continuing to rise in popularity. So you can see there, I think, number 4 apparently into JetBrains, which is really good to see, like it rivaling Python and TypeScript. Hopefully we'll see the continued rise. There's been a very interesting proposal in the Go repo. So it's MCP. And that's official model context protocol support in the Go SDK. I had to find out what this was. So it's like kind of like an emerging standards or protocol for like models or AI models. And you can kind of think of it as a common language between like different systems between ML and AI models. So their inputs and outputs. So a really good example of this, Open API is HTTP, and MCP would be for models and their kind of IO. And this proposal is looking to add official support in the Go standard library, which is quite cool. There's been some really interesting improvements because of that TypeScript Go port. And hopefully if we see these kind of big projects coming into Go, or the more it happens, we might see this more often. So this issue specifically, it was highlighted that the compiler was really slow compiling massive packages. And it was due to inefficient escape analysis. So there was with thousands of functions, I think this was like 2,600, it was causing like slow compile times 92 seconds upwards. And the fix here was kind of reworking those locations so it can be escaped more efficiently. And it reduced down to 18 seconds, which is really, really cool to see. There's been some really interesting releases as well in the Go space the last couple of months. So today we have Golang 2025.1. What's new? Golang CI lint is available with native support. I know most of you have heard of that. So that's going to be integrated within the editor itself. So when you're kind of typing along, you'll see warnings, those squiggly red lines according to your YAML file that you've got defined in your project. That's really good, nice to have. Renaming, I don't know why this hasn't been a thing to begin with, but now when you rename struct fields, the JSON tags will change along with it, which is good. Well, maybe it's good. I don't know how it's set up for underscores and camel case and things like that. Maybe it takes the previous one, but yeah, very, very good feature to have. And AI is free to an extent. So JetBrains is now promising some features like code completion, local model support is supported within Golang, which is amazing. And I downloaded 2025.1 today, but it still says sign up. So I don't know how that exactly works, but I think there's still a lot of juicy features that are free. Gemini and Claude supported, ChatGPT 4.1 coming soon. Speaking of Golang CI lint, V2 is released. You can read more in that blog post there, but it will pick. I don't know how it picks up you doing the migration. I was migrating a project, and this migration walkthrough is really, really good. It will just take your YAML file and just transform it with a kind of step-by-step CLI process. What's new in V2? So we've got path and exclusion improvements. You can now kind of specify relative paths as opposed to the package name. I find that a lot easier to digest. And in V2, there's no exclusions, but you can enable kind of human readable exclusion presets. So on the right there, you can see that kind of path to file.go. And then there's also these presets. So you can preset comment, standard error handling, and much, much more. So very nice. The format command is designed to help you kind of format your code using your preferred formatter, really. So this is kind of like great for catching PRs before merging to main with badge formatting. So Go thumps and stuff like that, you can add as a lint kind of rule. And you can also add rewrite rules. So yeah, I thought that was really powerful. So like interface into any, or your patterns for array matching there. Very, very good. I love this feature. And you can see, go format and then kind of a replacement of rewrite rules as well. Mockery v3 is released as well. For those, Mockery can define like mocks for our tests and stubs. And now you can put in customizable templates. So traditionally, I think it supports Testify, but now you can you can define your own templates, which is really cool. But yeah, you can pass it kind of map ray and mock here. So I do like this way of stubbing as well. You kind of just use functions as opposed to interfaces there. But yeah, very powerful. And that's it from releases, and over to my community notes. I thought this was quite interesting. Someone copied our GitHub project and made it look more trustworthy by adding stars from many fake users, and then injected malicious code at runtime. And the malicious code was basically a wget. I didn't read what the wget was actually doing or actually calling, but wow, yeah, just amazing what people are doing. I guess to be careful. I saw this on Twitter. This guy's claimed to fix Golang with a DD from Laravel. I don't know how with DD. Good. I do like the idea of asserting with programming, kind of dump and die. Really good. But yeah, I thought that was quite funny. Go on the PS2. A chap called Ricardo, he kind of explores the feasibility of running Go on the PS2 using TinyGo specifically, and he was just kind of doing it as like an experiment for retro consoles. And actually, I saw some of the issues that he had with Go on the PS2, and one of them was format sprintf. And because of PS2 doesn't really have 64-bit division, or the 64-bit division instruction, that's a mouthful, it led to in the correct formatting of some numbers, which is really, really interesting. And yeah, plan to address this by modifying the Go runtime or implementing software-based division routines. But yeah, really good. Speaking of gaming, the infamous Doom, which is everywhere, is now Go. There's a Doom engine written in Go, and I really recommend looking at this repo, because one, I think it's just really nice code to look at, and two, game code in Go I feel like is quite is lacking. So yeah, a really good example. And I really want to be writing comments like this. State splash monster is dying so hard that it splashes into the body chunks of hellish meat. Yeah, that's quite a cool constant to write, right? I thought that was really cool. And yeah, some really good examples of interfaces with gaming and stuff like that. Tools. What interesting tools have been are in the Go space. There's this new one called Lazy Package. So I don't know. I've got Brew and npm on my Mac, and there's always different bits and pieces. This kind of app, this kind of TUI, kind of looks to see how to manage all of these versions between these package managers. So quite cool. You can see the little GIF there. But yeah, looks good. LSLint. LSLint is a linter for your folder, your file structure. It's very fast, and there's quite a lot of projects that are using this in Go to lint your packages. Now, I feel like depends on how strict you could be and how annoying it is, but regardless, it's out there and it's quite good. So things like Go, we can make sure that the file names are in snake case. That's obviously a very good linting rule. But yeah, a very good package, and perhaps you could integrate that into Golang CI lint somehow in a CI/CD pipeline. But very good. You can see there, as I said, .go, we've got snake cases. Internal, you can kind of say this directory structure wants to be kebab case in naming directories, for example. And you can say, I want a test file to exist for this Go file. Kong, the CLI, not platform, but Kong, the CLI. I haven't seen this before, but it had like 3K stars. It's a CLI parser for Go, so I think Cobra, and what's the other one? I've forgotten the name. But this one caught my eye because you define a struct, and you use struct tags, and I love struct tags, and I know that there's that performance hit with Reflect, but I thought this was a really nice way to define like CLIs, just as one struct. So yeah, this has got a really like mature API. It's been out for quite a long time. If you want to have a play, I know Cobra. I forget any other one, but yeah, I think this is a good contender. You can pass in your CLI struct there. As an example, this is kind of an LSRM kind of. You see RM there. Another sub command would be recursive, and then you can pass in like help tags. So yeah, help pass remove, stuff like that. MFT, Go Manage File Transfer. Now, our clone is amazing. Very, very good. It interacts. It's got like so much IO. But if you want a nice GUI with it, a Go Back tool would be with this. So it's like a web-based file management tool, and it leverages rclone as its back end. This UI is really nice, and you can configure and schedule file transfers really easy. It's kind of just click and play there. Yeah, and essentially an rclone with a GUI, but really good to have a look. I don't know if this might be one to like deploy or something. Maybe it's a use case for a project or an app idea that you have. So tips and tricks. I wanted to focus on one kind of new feature in the Go 124 really, and that's Go tool. When I first read about it, I thought it was really cool, but I didn't quite understand it. So this is for you guys, and I think I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we can do within our infrastructure with Go tool, because it looks to be so powerful. So what is Go tool? It adds new support for like tools as a dependency in your project. So a tool in Go's eyes can be anything that you can import, but it's mainly linters, as we said, like Golang CI, mocking frameworks is Mockery, or generators, so gRPC, RPC, anything that you can use that you don't directly need within the actual code base, but you need as a dev dependency, I would view it as. How do you get a tool? You just add dash tool before your go get or your dependency name. So we're going to use Mockery an example here. So go get dash tool and then the name of the package. If you don't have one already, yeah, as I said, if you don't have one already, it will add the tool directive to your go.mod. And you can see there, we've got tool and our user require. So how do you use it? Now, there's quite a few different ways. So once you've required a tool, you kind of just use it. Excuse me, sorry. You can pass in like flags as much as you would an LECI. So you can do Go tool name of package, and that's it. So it's kind of like a npm dev, but your Go tool is your beginning, your start. So I've got an example here. I've got a downloader interface, and I want to stub it. I want to use Mockery for it. You can see downloader. I want to run Go tool Mockery init. And then you can pass in the name of your package. That's how you initialize Mockery in V3. And then you can just run Go tool name of the package. And that kind of corresponds to what you've got in that tool section. And that will generate all of your mocks. And you can, of course, you can go crazy with make files and stuff like that. But Go tool is kind of the thing to run it. And then Go get is the thing to get it. If you can't remember all of that, I can't. How to use it with generate. Just add Go generate Go tool, and then off you go. Works out of the box. And this again kind of just adds you can just run Go generate. You can just go generate here, and it works exactly the same. So a lot easier, I think. My apologies. Anyway, yes, so that's Go Tool, and onto our knowledge share. So today we have Sahil. And Sahil, I think I saw first lurking on X, as it's called now, with your Atomics DB project, and I think you blew up, didn't it? Like, had however many likes, a lot of likes, but it looked really interesting, and I got in touch. Your second year undergraduate from India. I don't know exactly where you exactly are, but you're currently working, I believe, as a intern at, is it Safe? How do you pronounce it?
Safe Dev. Yes.
Safe Dev.
Safe Dev. Yeah.
Nice, and yeah, keen on losing technologies and database and backend systems. So I'm really looking forward to your talk, Sahil, and over to you, buddy.
Thank you. So first of all, thanks to Ainsley for inviting me for this. It's my first ever talk. I hope my screen is visible and voice is clear.
Yep.
Okay. So I have various topics to talk about. So let's start with the first talk overview. So I started building the database. So my reason for building it was I got to know about Golang in my previous internship and really liked the idea of how it was clean and easy to use, and also the thing it was famous for, the Go routines and channels. And I was also on the lookout for what projects to build, because I had just left my internship and was thinking of building something exciting. And when it started, it was really challenging and exciting stuff. So moving forward, let's start with the database structure. So as we all know, the fundamental operations of a database are read and write, basically getting the data and dumping data to the database. So a basic high-level overview of my current database is, for the read one, is main DB. So I maintain a main root for the database, which is the main and does not get updated by the writer or the readers. When a reader makes a request for the getting in data or read request, the data is copied from the main root, and it gets the so I'm using the B plus tree as an base for my storage engine. So it gets the root for the copied version from the main root, and all the operations happen on the copied version. So the main DB gets untouched. It's not interfered with anything, and it enables concurrent reader support, which is also good for enabling scaling in future, like read replicas and less load on the main database. So the read architecture and does not have much in this. So for the right one, the thing in this is kind of similar to the read, but the thing is, it also copies the data from the main database, and all the operations, all the updates by the user happens on the copied database, not on the main root. So again, the main database is untouched until the end, until the data is committed. So whenever the updates by the user are done on the copied version, you can see there are different versions being created based on different users. So if a user commits the database, commits their own version, so the main database root is updated to make sure the data is not corrupted and is durable, as if we update or override the main database, it could lead to corrupt database like a system crash or any failure. So the only time there is a vital point is the point when the main DB root is being updated by the user's updated root. So it follows the MVCC approach, where the multiple versions are being created and the readers can read from older versions and the writers can create new versions. So moving forward to the storage engine, the base of my database is an B plus tree. So this is a basic B plus tree, as we all know how trees work. So choosing B plus tree, so there was choice between an B plus tree or an LSM tree. As we all know, the log structured merge tree, which is great for read efficient and heavy writes. But I went with the B plus tree because it was just a starting point for me. So as we all know, in the B plus tree, all the data is stored only in the leaf nodes, and the internal nodes are only do only store the pointers to the child nodes. Also, the B plus tree uh, does not is a self-balancing tree, which makes sure the nodes are sorted and the values are not just lying here and there. So this is a basic traversal. If looking out for some key, if the key we are looking for is greater than the current key, we move to the right side of the tree and otherwise to the left, and we just go to the bottom or the leaf node to get the and retrieve the value. And for the node design of my B plus is like the nodes is the type is the type is for the internal nodes or an leaf node. It identifies if the current node is an internal or an external or an leaf node, which is of 2 bytes, and the number of keys is for the making sure we get the count right every time, and we do not have to traverse of the traverse over all the keys, and we just have the count ready always, which is again of 2 bytes, and the pointers hold the child node pointers, and it's only for the internal nodes, as only internal nodes holds the pointers. And for the offsets, these are the starting positions of the key value pairs. So basically, if I have three key value pairs, I would have different starting points, and I can just access them with the offset. And also when talking about the encoding, like, so when we store data in B plus tree, we only have a key and a value pair. So we have to make sure the values and keys are stored efficiently, and the search lookups do not take much time. So when we start with the key part, we so in this I store the primary key or the index in the key part, and all the non index or the uh, non-primary index column goes in the values part. So when we go for the encoding key, so when we encode a key, we first of all add the prefix. So prefix is a value given when a table is created to make sure and uniquely identify for which table the value belongs, and the values added by the values that we are adding to the tree or the database. So when we so there is this issue or an uh, issue with the composite indexes is that when we uh, make composite indexes and only search by the single column. So for example, if I show, yeah, so if I query, if I have an opposite index on columns A and B and just query on the column A, so I do not know the value of the column B, which can lead to issues such as it can in the lexicographical order, it will take and add this and this, basically all the values as the V1 would be less than both A and B values. So to make sure we hold up the max value, so we add a padding, which is basically what it does here. We first of all encode the key, then so there are only two types of uh, data types supported right now, which is bytes and integer. So we add padding for the max value to make sure that all the values when we retrieve are according to the search we did, and not all the values being retrieved. So this is something it looks like. So when we query for a value based on a single index of an composite index, we get only the two values which uh, match the search and not including the extra ones. So related to the concurrency control, so as I told, there is this follows the MVCC part. So whenever a transaction starts, it is isolated from other transactions, and all transactions are independent until they commit. And whenever a new transaction start, it copies the data as similar to the right part as showed. So after copying all the transactions, all the updates, all the modification can happen on the copied data. And whenever a commit happens, uh, it goes to the log part where whenever basically two or three commits happen sequentially, they go by they have to wait sequentially. So this section uh, requires an exclusive log to make sure it's all or nothing property of transaction. And this also enables multiple readers, and there is a single writer in this. So when we talk about multiple readers, there's a worker thread being maintained to manage the multiple readers for not being overworked or on the system load, and making sure the system has maximum number of readers at once. So as I told, there is no overriding of data. There are new versions being created. So the old ones which are unreachable have to be reused. Otherwise, the database can grow in size very fast, which could lead to very bad memory management. So there comes the free list management, which basically retrieves the nodes that are that are not being used by any of the version, or are not being read by the reader, as there are many versions. So a reader could be reading an old version. So we have to make sure the version is not being used by any of the reader, and all operations are completed on it. So whenever a new update operation happens, we first of all check if we have any free node in the free list, which can be reused instead of creating a new nodes. So the commands sorted in my database are like simple: create, insert, update, get, delete, and the transaction related. So currently in this database, there is no support for the query parser, which is still in work. So if I have to show the database, okay, so let me just change the screen. So I think it's good. So if I talk about so if I run the database, so it's currently a CLI type. So there's no query parser or anything. So if I go by creating a table, my bad. So if I go by the commands, so these are the commands that are spotted. And if I go by the command, just like I created a table. So whenever a new table is created, first of all, there is a check for the table. So to make sure there is no existing table with the same name, then if there are no table that exists with the same name, we add the prefix, which is short, like it's a unique identifier for the table to make sure when retrieving the values, it's easy to get the values and not get confused with the same values over different tables. So we also add a next prefix to make sure the next table gets a unique value and not and the same value. So it's basically just getting the next prefix and updating it and adding the indexes. So at the end, we just update the meta for the next prefix. We marshal it, all the values we added, and there are two main tables or the internal tables which you can call, which are table definition and meta. So these two tables hold created first of all whenever database is run, which holds the meta table holds the values like next or next prefix and other important data related to the database, and the table definition holds the all the tables that have been created. So as I created a users table, it holds the user's name and the definition of the table, like added 3 columns and the types and the indexes being added. So if I go by insert a value and try to get it. So as I can get by the index, by the primary or the second index, which I have added, which is the email, and I can get multiple values, that is the range query, or for the non-indexed columns, the column filter. So if I get by the ID, I can get this, or if I get using the column filter, which is this. So the main thing behind the insertion is, so yeah, for before inserting, we first of all get the table definition, which holds all the metadata about the table, the types, the values being used. So first of all, we check the record. Basically, the data I inserted here, is it similar? The types and all are similar to what we have stored in our database. And then we encode the key as it should, get the append the prefix and the values, and encode the values, all the non-indexed values go in this, and just straight away go, these are set into the, so there are basically 3 different modes, which are update only, upsert, and insert only. So as we have inserted it, it will go here, and if the value already exists, it would return false and get back. So at the end, it just inserts in the B tree and flushes the pages, basically make sure that the data is flushed to the memory and no data is left out in the cache. And at the end, when the flush page is called, it just writes and syncs the pages to the database. And at the end, the commit part is this. So for the commit part, we just unlock the writer at the end and we check if the root was same. So basically there are no changes if the root is same as we copied the root. We again write the pages to the data. We sync the data written till now only the updated data. And then here's the main part, which is the update of the root, the main root updating. So we update the main root. We increment the version to make sure the readers are not interfered whenever the new reader comes up and can read older versions. And we just update the master page, which holds the signature and the root and the versions of our database. That's all. And sorry if I was a little fast or that. It's my first. So if you have any questions, please ask.
I have to say that was absolutely amazing. That was really, really interesting. So thank you so much for your time. And I know you've worked so hard on this presentation. So honestly, thank you. I can kick off the questions. I was going to ask kind of like, from doing this and then going on to like any big DBs like Postgres, I don't know, MySQL,
Yeah.
what have you learned about creating your own DB that's transferable?
So, like basically before, the thinking I had for databases was just a server sitting up there, files or something, and just we insert and all things are done. But when I started building, so the main part still is left, which is the query parser, where it has to get the query, find out what's the most optimal way of executing the query and making those joins with the tables. So there's still a lot of but it sure was challenging. Like mainly there were 2 3 bugs where I was stuck for almost a week, and when those got solved, the excitement was next level.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. Did anyone have any questions for Sahil? No? I have one more then if no takers.
Yeah, sure.
Your implementation is currently in memory, is that right? Is
No, it's
it
persisted to disk.
oh, persist to disk?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. And do you have any like plans to like extend it, or is it kind of just like a project where you wanted to learn, or how do
No,
you want to progress with it?
no, I don't think it's gonna be a like production type. It's just a project for learning basis. So I will add more stuff to it shortly, like more scalability, more system design related, and mainly the query parser, which is the most important part. But it's still gonna stay as a project type stuff
That's
where I
really
can
cool.
just, like implement some hacks and just try out different stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's available to view online, right? If we want to have a poke around, it's
Yes,
on GitHub, isn't it?
yes. Should I share the link?
Nice. Yeah, yeah. If you could share the link to the chat, that would be fantastic. Gregory, you've got something.
Yeah. Did you do some performance comparisons with?
No, I have not done any benchmarks till now.
Oh, okay.
So those are still left. Yes.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see to compare it like with Postgres or MariaDB.
No, like so it's just currently it's just a single file DB. So I'm just storing in a single database.db extension file. So I don't think it would be like a lot better or having good metric performance. But yeah, do have plans for adding tests and perform benchmarks.
So it's quite similar to SQLite in its current state with one file.
It's kind of similar to SQL, just missing the query parser.
No, that's really cool.
Yes.
Well, if there's no more questions, Sahil, thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, I look forward to see what your career brings you, because you're clearly a very bright young lad. So thanks again, and take care.
Sure, man. Thanks for inviting. Bye, everyone.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Have a great time. Bye.
Thank you very much.